We will call the meeting to order. If you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woody, if you would do roll call, please.
Sure. Kushner,
Here.
Osborne,
Here.
Latari. Here. Jones,
Here.
Euler.
Here. Item 3, approval of city council minutes. Approve city council work session minutes dated November 12th, 2024, and city council regular meeting dated November 12th, 2024.
I move to approve as presented.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari. Yes. Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes. Adoption of agenda.
Motion to adopt agenda as presented?
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes. Item 5.1, public hearing on an ordinance rezoning a portion of 1015 East Hale Lake Road from RMH Manufactured Home Residence District to R1 Single Family Residence District, presented by Barbara Carroll, Director of Community Development. Hello, Barbara.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This is a request that's come forward from Fryco Inc., which is represented by Rick Fry and Leo Costas, the developers of the Copper Ridge subdivision on the north side of Hale Lake Road at 1015 East Hale Lake Road. And you can see from the map there on the screen that it is just south of this elementary school and is to the east of Mitchell Street and to the west of Ridgeview Drive, so kind of in between Ridgeview and Mitchell. This is a larger project. The preliminary plat was approved a couple years ago and includes 149 single-family lots. The property is currently what you see outlined in red is a portion of the total subdivision. There is another little piece there to the east that's undeveloped, appearing as undeveloped and brown there on the map. Just vacant ground. That part is already zoned single family. This part that's outlined in red is zoned RMH, which is residential manufactured home. It's been zoned that way since at least 1992, based on the current owner at that time. The developers and owners of the land now have submitted this request to have it rezoned single family. The plat that was approved last month, which was a preliminary plat. No, it was the final plat for the first phase, included 33 lots. A condition of the approval of that final plat was that it be rezoned to single family. If it is not successfully rezoned to single family, it could be developed under RMH. The lots would meet the requirements of the RMH, but it would be a lot easier to develop it under the single family. And particularly going forward in time for future homeowners, it would be easier to own lots in the single family. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered this request at their meeting last week and recommended approval. Staff did notify property owners within 300 feet. We have not had any public comments on this. And staff has recommended approval along with the Planning and Zoning Commission for the reasons outlined in the staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone here to speak on this? No? All right, thank you. Close the public hearing. Item 6.1, an ordinance rezoning a portion of 1015 East Hale Lake Road from RMH Manufactured Home Residence District to R1 Single Family Residence District, presented by Barbara Carroll.
You happy to answer any questions if there are any?
Any questions? All right,
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance rezoning a portion of 1015 East Hale Lake Road from RMH Manufactured Home Residence District to R1 Single Family Residence District. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
6.2, an ordinance repealing and replacing chapter 11 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg regarding garbage and trash, presented by Barbara Carroll, Director of Community Development.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. We're going to walk through the staff report this evening, which outlines the major changes, the substantive changes to chapter 11. The full ordinance, the existing ordinance is in your packet, as well as the entire proposed ordinance. This is a complete repeal and replacement rather than trying to amend each individual section, where you kind of lose sight of the bigger picture and you risk not getting codified correctly. We're doing a complete repeal and replacement so that it will be assured that it shows up in the ordinance books and in the online version of the ordinances in its entirety, exactly as approved by council. It should be easier for the general public to understand and see the changes that way as well. As you'll recall, at your meeting on September 9th of this year, you all adopted an ordinance approving a contract with Constable Sanitation, Inc. for residential collection services of solid waste within the city of Warrensburg. That is a contract that is just for the collection from single family, duplex, triplex, and fourplexes that are in the program. There are some fourplexes that can receive a waiver to be out of the program. But if you're a fourplex without a waiver, you're in our program. So anything above fourplex, fiveplex, 12plex, large apartment complexes, businesses, industries, or institutions like the university, the hospital, the county, none of those are a part of this contract. It is just single family, duplex, triplex, and fourplexes without a waiver are what we call residential collection services. And that's a term you will see many, 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 many times in the contract as well as in this ordinance. So with the adoption of that contract, it was necessary to update the city codes regarding garbage and trash so that the terms of the contract, as far as they impact citizen behavior and how we're to maintain our properties, et cetera, are included in the ordinance. So that's what this ordinance does, is it takes the terms of the contract that are incumbent on the citizens and puts them into ordinance. So both documents are very important. The contract with Constable is very important, as well as this ordinance, chapter 11. So the first part of chapter 11 that was changed is right off the top are the definitions. And there are many definitions that were added to the document, to the chapter, so that the terms that are used in the contract, not all of them, but the important ones that are important to a citizen behavior are included in this ordinance. So now we have consistency with the chapter 11 terms and the contract terms. So like the word residential collection services, we need to define that in chapter 11. A residential service unit, define that in chapter 11. What are our program recyclables? Define that in chapter 11. So those are the types of definitions we have added to the definitions section of chapter 11. The other definitions that were already there are still there and are still necessary. And they might look like there's some overlap. That's because, remember, this contract is only for part of the people in Warrensburg. It's not our other businesses. It's not our other industries. It's not our other multifamily. So we still had to have the existing rules for all of the ones that aren't in the contract. So those terms apply to all of the ones that aren't influenced by this contract. And that's a lot of what the new chapter 11 does, is start to separate out the definitions for residential collection services the requirements and regulations for residential collection services separate from the services for non-residential collection services. So first we do that in the definitions, then we move into the enforcement sections of the ordinance. These in particular, like enforcement, right of entry, relief of liability, notice to abate, failure to comply, violations deemed nuisances, abatement by city, prosecution. Those sections are largely untouched. There are some changes. But they were changes like instead of saying code enforcement inspector, it will just say city inspector. Because it may not be that particular position anymore. It could be one of our solid waste employees now. And there was a separate process for abatement by the city, search warrants, et cetera. And we removed that and just referenced the process we use in chapter 13 for general nuisances to make it consistent with other sections and the general nuisance requirements. So, but the idea that we would have enforcement and abatement by the city, those ideas and concepts are maintained. We still have that in chapter 11. So section 11-21, this one starts to line out what our residential collection services will be, that it will be weekly trash, weekly recycling, once a month bulky waste, and weekly yard waste. So it lines out what those services will be. The section on littering, I don't think we had many changes to that. Then we move into section 1131 and 1132, and here's where your biggest changes are, where we say in 1131, now these are the requirements for regulating residential collection services. This is where you're to store your cart, things like that. You can put your cart out in advance, 12 hours, pick it up, bring it back up with 12 hours after. Those types of regulations are in 1131. 1132 then are the requirements for everybody that's not in the residential collection services. So all of the ones who are not part of the city contract, these are in 1132. Some of this is the language very similar to your existing ordinances, and some of it is new. In particular, the new parts would be, we have strengthened the requirements around dumpsters. So your current ordinance says basically that dumpsters are to be screened from view from public right of way. That's it. And so if you, let's say your house, your business is situated such that you can only see it from a street on one side, then you only have to put up one side of an enclosure. You don't have to have a four-sided enclosure. That means trash blows around. So the staff did take this opportunity with our dumpster requirements to say that an actual enclosure is required, all four sides, whether we can see it from the right of way or not, 4 sides are required. You have to set it on a dumpster pad. There are new requirements there for dumpsters, certain amount of clear space around it so that when they shove it back in there, it doesn't immediately hit the wall and cause it to fall over with time. But all of it is all of those requirements are centered around keeping it clean and sanitary and from blowing around the neighborhood. But I do want to be very transparent that there is new language around dumpsters there. Don't think there's a lot of changes to 1133 and 34. So frequency of collection and time limitations of containers, disposition of certain wastes. There's not a lot of changes in those two sections. 1135, collection and disposition of solid waste. This is where staff added some additional requirements for vehicles for any trash hauler operating in the city. So constables, trucks, as well as anybody else's that moves through our city. So there's different additional requirements there.
Is this where you, does it include where it they have to be tarped or secured in some manner?
Yes.
Yeah. that's kind of
Yes.
Covered. Mhm.
Um. And then not a lot of changes to 1136 or 37. 1138 is a new section, rates, charges, fees, and payments. This sets forth that there will be a monthly charge for residential collection services, and then who's responsible for paying those charges. We're far enough along with our software work that we do believe we can bill landlord and tenants separately for sewer and trash. So we haven't implemented that yet, but we will be able to bill separately. Talks about how we will do the pro rata payments. So if you provide a fractional payment, it will be applied fractionally to sewer and trash. Accounts would go delinquent at 21 days. And at that point, a penalty for a delinquent utility bill would be assessed. And then at 60 days, they would be shut off from service and a termination of service fee assessed. And then before it could be restarted, they would have to come current on their service and pay a restart service fee. So there's a separate item on your agenda for what those fees will be. And I can talk about those dollar amounts when we get to the next item on the agenda, that rate resolution, but this one gives us the authority to charge the fees. It's not in this section, it's not really in any section because we didn't do this, but there has been a question since the September meeting about providing an opt-out. And this would have been the section to do that in. We have not, staff has not done that. We have not included an opt-out provision. You've had an ordinance on the books since date on that. 1994 that has required all residences or businesses within the city limits to obtain refuse disposal service from a company holding such a business license within the city. And so we did not change that with this revision. That is still a requirement. And so without in maintaining that requirement, then we have not included an opt-out. So if a house has based on what other parts of chapter 11 are, if you have sewer or water or power turned on to the house, then you would be assessed a trash service bill. We did include, after talking with some of the questions we received and talking with the software people, we have added, which is section K of 11-38, a vacation hold. That would allow, if you are a snowbird or just for whatever reason not at your home, for between 3 to 5 months a year, you could do a vacation hold. That actually is a pretty easy process, just a few clicks of a button and the system will automatically turn you back on. And so there's not a risk it will get forgotten to turn back on. That we went ahead and added that provision for a vacation hold. So you could still have sewer, water, and power turned on, but if you call the city and ask for a vacation hold, it would be a minimum of 3 months and a maximum of 5 months. So we could do a vacation hold. And during that time, then there would be no trash charge to the account.
So if they're out of town for 2 months, they will just get charged for that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
And then the final section, 11-39 is the exemption where we set out that waiver for a fourplex and we set out the service for the hardship service for people who have mobility issues and getting carts to and from the curb. That is the proposed ordinance. Let me make sure. I don't think I have any additional comments. Be happy to answer any questions.
Just out of curiosity about the vacation, is there must be a good reason why it couldn't be 1 month or 2 months? Is there, the software folks say that it needed to be 3 in order for that?
No, staff chose that amount of time, because we do intend for it to be more for that snowbird type of deal and not for a landlord who wants to turn it on and off every month. Because that does increase our administrative time to do it every other week or every other month. We didn't want to be constantly doing that.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
No questions for me. Jim, any questions?
No, this is excellent.
Any questions?
No other questions? No,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Pete, is this when you'd like to make a comment? Pete Zwally, if you just come up, give us your name, your address. You have 3 minutes and it's just give us your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's Peter Zawali, 959 East Market Street, Warrensburg, Missouri. My question concern is with the opt-out policy. My son has a automotive shop south of town that's out of the city, and I help him with the dumpster out there. And I've been doing that for 6 years since I've lived in the city. And I take my trash out there once, twice a week, and it works out fine. I don't see why I need to be mandated into a city ordinance to pick up trash when it doesn't seem like it's a utility to begin with. So why can't we have an opt-out policy for circumstances where you just don't need or don't have your trash picked up in the city? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, thank you, Pete. Appreciate it. We have an ordinance in front of us.
Oh, we do. Move to second reading by title only. Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes,
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes,
An ordinance repealing and replacing chapter 11 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg regarding garbage and trash. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
yes,
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
yes.
Thank you.
Item 7.1, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri, establishing rates for solid waste residential collection services, presented by Barbara Carroll.
You have in front of you a resolution that sets forth the rates. Several of them are rates you saw in the contract itself. And some are different, or not different, but additional. So for the solid waste based service, which are the 4 services we've talked about, that would be $31 a month. The cost from the contractor is less than that. And the city's portion of it, in addition to the contract, is around $4.20. And so this would cap us at $31 a month. We will do a rate, we will review our rates annually. This is, first year is just a 7-month service from April to September. From March to September, 7 months. And so we will need to review that in July. So that if we were to raise our rates, we would give you that information prior to adopting a budget in August. Staff's goal would be not to raise our rates in this first year. So we are trying to manage those expenses so that we don't have to. But because it is a 7 months of service and 7 months of revenue, that's why we have that startup potential for a startup loan in the budget you approved for this year. So we will see how that looks in July. We will reevaluate that, but we are going into it thinking the $31 a month would hold for the first year and second year. So hopefully that will be the case. I have gotten a lot of questions about this. The contract with Constable does include provisions that they can ask for additional increase. There are caps on that in the contract. And so if they would ask for that in year 2, then that might cause us to have to do something different. But there are caps built into the contract on his costs as well. Additional trash cart would be $6.15 a month. That is what we, the city, are being billed. We've not added anything to that. Additional recycling cart at $1 a month. Again, that's our cost from the contractor. The hardship service at $12.95 a unit per month. That is the cost from the contractor. We've not added any administrative fee to that. And the cart replacement rate is $30 a cart, and the city has not added any administrative fee to that. The next 4 are city fees. These are not driven by our contract with Constable. The payment for penalty for a delinquent utility bill is 10%. That is consistent with what it is on sewer, so we have not changed the percentage from the sewer. Termination of service fee, we've set at $25 and a restart service fee at $25. Those are different than what you see in sewer. There is a different amount of staff involvement, and also your sewer bill, your sewer penalties include what the water company passes on to us. So for those 2 in particular, there's not an apples to apples comparison that's fair. So we've set ours at 25 for terminating and 25 to restart, and that's based on our staff costs for doing that within the system, 1 field visit, and managing that with the monthly reporting to the contractor. And then the vacation hold, we have set at $0 for now because we believe that we will have very little effort involved in that. We're including it on this so that if that turns out not to be true and in 10 years we need to charge for it, we would have the ability to charge for it in the future.
On the hardship, they will receive a trash container and a recycling container?
Yes, they'll get both containers, but there's no yard waste and no bulky waste included in that, but they will get the containers, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And for clarity, Barbara, the termination service fee and restart is due to delinquency.
Yes,
Okay.
and so if you don't pay your bill in full, then after those periods of time that we set out in the last ordinance, we would stop service to that location. And your trash, if you're putting it out, is going to start to pile up. And that then becomes a code enforcement issue. And we will pursue a nuisance case.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments?
The question related to the overall contract. Could you remind me when some of the public education campaign was going to start? Was that sometime in January, I think?
It should start early January. We have not signed the contract yet, but we are, I need a couple more exhibits to the contract, and then I believe it will get signed this week with our top choice. So we put that out for an RFP. We had 2 firms bid on it, and we're negotiating with the top firm. They are ready to start immediately on content, building out the content. And so, yeah, there will be pieces that hit early January, and I think the test bill, the first zone of that will go out the end, like the 26th and 27th, the end of the Christmas week. So people will see it on the bill with a 0 balance due. And I think there'll be an insert with that. And that bill, we expect that even though the dollar amount 0 is going to generate a whole lot of phone calls about what is this? I thought my landlord paid my trash, like all these different kinds of questions. And so it's going to start really being out there in the public sphere again, starting early January. And so we want our messaging to begin about the same time.
And the staff, I know it's been a process hiring the staff. Are you able to give an update on?
We have made some progress. We put an offer out today for a solid waste billing specialist. So I believe that person will start in probably 3 weeks. They need to give notice.
Yeah.
And then solid waste coordinator position, we're not interviewing until the week after next. So that one, has not, we're not as far along with it.
Thank you.
But you received applications, there is
We
interest.
received applications and we have interviews set up and scheduled. They just don't start until the 17th.
Very good.
Any other comments? Nope. We have a resolution in front of us.
Move to
Motion
approve
to
the resolution.
I'm sorry.
Move to approve the resolution.
Thank you. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 8.1, an ordinance vacating an alley running north and south between 719 and 723 East Colton Street as depicted on the plat of Barnwood Heroes Edition. Presented, hey, there you are, presented by Jason McCarty, Public Works Project Manager. Hey, Jason.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here again in front of you this evening for another alley vacate. Barnwood Heroes, Ethan Farrell. He's been doing this around town in several different locations. This one he found recently, I believe 719 burned down a while back. And they demoed it. They're currently building on it, but he's looking to vacate this alley. I think him and the neighbor Brandon Myers might be coming into some kind of agreement to be able to purchase property in order to meet the requirements for lot sizes and the like. They both submitted the application to vacate this alley, and that's what's in front of you tonight. Any questions for me?
And that just runs the railroad tracks, is that right?
It runs north of Colton Street
Yep.
up to the railroad right away, yes,
Yep.
sir.
Mhm.
And there are no utilities in there. We're not maintaining it as an alley, so.
Yep.
Be another one to check off the list that we don't have to keep track of it
That's-
anymore.
All right.
Move
Comments?
to approve.
Comments? Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Jason.
Oh, it's all ordinance. Move said ordinance to second reading by title.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance vacating an alley running north and south between 719 and 723 East Colton Street as depicted on the plat of Barnwood Heroes Edition. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item 8.2, an ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute a contract with Enterprise Risk Management, Inc., DBA ERM Protect for payment card industry PCI compliance plan services presented by Carolyn Tui, Finance Officer. Hey, Carolyn, how are you?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. So, the city accepts payment through various merchant. What am I trying to say? We accept a lot of credit card payments here at the city offices and also at parks. And over the years, IT and finance have been trying to make sure that we are PCI compliant, which is basically making sure that the credit card information of all the people that use our payment platforms and services is protected. So it's a bit complex. So we sought out a company that is a qualified security assessor, and they know the scope of the work very well to help us make sure that the city is protecting the data of all the people who get to use our services. If there's any questions, please let us know. Yeah. Oh, we put out an RFP in October. We evaluated over November, and the selection committee agreed on Enterprise Risk Management, Inc. As the best company to help us with this. Any questions?
I was impressed with all the security they had involved with this, which is why you all decided this. So that's really impressive. It's a big problem today. So thank you for all the work on that.
No question.
Comments, questions? No? Okay. Ordinance.
Move,
Thank you.
move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute a contract with Enterprise Risk Management, Inc., doing business as ERM Protect, sorry, for payment card industry, PCI compliance plan services. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 8.3, an ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to enter into a lease agreement with Old Drum Animal Shelter for the animal shelter facility, presented by Kristen Dorman, interim city manager.
Good evening, thank you. This ordinance before you authorizes the lease agreement with Old Drum Animal Shelter, which we've been doing with them since 2021. So the current agreement expires December 31st. So the lease agreement that's before you, no major changes. The only changes that are in there is changing the name from Warrensburg Animal Rescue to Old Drum Animal Shelter. And then they requested that we remove any language about the equipment being part of the lease. So in the lease agreement that you all have approved previously, there was an Exhibit A that listed out all of the equipment that was in the building at the time. They reached out to me, letting me know that most of that equipment doesn't exist anymore, that they've replaced it, or it's not in use anymore. So they've requested that we take that language out of the lease with them. So this new lease will expire December of 2025, and with the same agreement to lease the facility to them for $1 per year. So any questions on that?
Thank you.
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to enter into a lease agreement with Old Drum Animal Shelter for the animal shelter facility. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 8.4, an ordinance authorizing the allocation of the remaining American Rescue Plan funds to public safety personnel costs, presented by Kristen Dorman.
Hello again. Okay, so the ordinance before you tonight allocates the remaining American Rescue Plan Act funds. So if you'll remember, the city received approximately $4.1 million from ARPA. And up to this point, we have spent or obligated $2.9 million of that. And we've used that for things like public safety radios, various contracts like the PCI compliance that you just approved, and various projects throughout the city. We have approximately $1.2 million left to obligate, and the deadline from the Treasury to do so is December 31st. So it has been council's and the former city manager's intention to use the remaining $1.2 million for a Lions Lake improvement project. And as you all know, we are in the process of making that project happen. So we're working with the engineers currently on the design plans for that and working on creating bid documents to get that work out to bid. But we aren't quite yet to this stage where we have a contract for the work, and that is what the Treasury requires to obligate money. So what staff is recommending is that we allocate the remaining ARPA dollars to public safety personnel costs, which is an eligible use of those funds. And doing so will create a savings in the general fund that we intend to use to pay for Lions Lake. So the Lions Lake project will still happen because of ARPA. We're just going about it in a little bit different way with some accounting work on our finance end. So like I mentioned, the ordinance before you tonight is to approve allocating those remaining dollars to public safety personnel costs. And I can answer any questions that you all have for that.
So just to be super clear for anyone listening or reading or watching later, this is not additional staff additional equipment, any of that. It is simply moving money from the ARPA fund to the safety personnel. That money does not then have to come out of the general fund. We'll have excess in the general fund, which we can then use for the Lions Lake project as intended.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks, Susan. Any other comments? Okay.
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the allocation of the remaining American Rescue Plan Act funds to public safety personnel cost. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 9.1, a resolution authorizing the disposal of a city-owned vehicle presented by Carolyn Tue, Finance Officer.
Hi, Mayor, hello, Council, once again. We, as a finance / administrative services department, would like to request the council to allow us to dispose of the old collections vehicle through public auction. We got the Ford Bronco and the old car is available for auction. Any question?
Move to approve
Thank you.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 9.2, a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application for the 2024 Assistance to Firefighters Grant by the Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri, presented by Chief Kenneth Jennings.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This resolution will just authorize the submission of a grant to the 2024 Assistance to Firefighter Grant, administered through FEMA, Department of Homeland Security. This is a grant opportunity we've taken advantage of a few times since its inception following 9/11 in 2001 when these grants were originally stood up. We use it to get our live fire training facility, an SCBA or compressor, most recently, along with some ARPA PPE. So a grant that we've been successful with in years past. Our proposal this year that we'll submit is for their micro grant. So it's a maximum of $75,000. So that would be the max it would require. So we're looking around 68,000 being the total project cost for what we're putting forward. What we're working towards, and I'll expand on a little bit later, but we're upgrading our station alerting systems, which I'll have the update later, where we are in that process. But what this piece will do will integrate into our dispatch center, and it'll automate a lot of that process. So right now, a dispatcher has to answer the 911 call, get the information, choose who's going, press the buttons. What this does, it'll be set up in the background once they have a nature and a location. The computer grabs it, notifies all the responders involved. Computer voice dispatches it, frees up some staff. So a good tool. Our approach will not only serve us, but will also serve other fire agencies in the county and the EMS agency. So we're hoping that that helps bolster our grant application just as it affects the county-wide dispatch operation. So it is up to a 5% match that would be required. So just a little under $4,000 would be required to come up with a match if we were awarded it. So a good opportunity to kind of complete this project that we're starting on. So be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Sounds like a great use of them.
Yep.
Great.
Always happy for grants. Thank you.
Yep. Mhm.
Move to approve resolution.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 9.3, a resolution accepting the 1955 Centennial Warrensburg, Missouri license plate. I don't see you listed, but I'm,
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I've been approached by Gary Swanson, who is a resident and employee of the city of Warrensburg. He would like to donate this 1955, it's a centennial license plate. It's 1955 to, sorry, 1855 to 1955. It's an historical artifact that is in great condition and is very appreciative. We have a display area in the lobby of City Hall. It would fit nicely in there and would be a nice reminder for folks of the city's relationship with UCM, as both mascots are shown on the license plate. So it brings back wonderful memories. There are folks that have seen the picture and have commented right away, oh, I remember when these were available. I remember events that took place at the time. So it definitely adds to our history. If you would consider the resolution, and thank you to Gary Swanson for bringing it to the city.
Motion
I
to
would-
adopt resolution.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me jot that down real quick. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mueller.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Gary.
The appointments are getting close. I promise you back there who are here. We're just about there, so. 9.4 fiscal year 2024 year-end budget report, unaudited, presented by Jessica Benbertlow, management analyst. Thanks, yes, Jessica.
For me. Okay, beautiful. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. So in your packet, you have a copy of the fiscal year 24 year-end budget report. I would like to note real quick, I did have some further conversations with Chris about parks, so there are a few changes from what was in your packet, but I will be going over this tonight in my presentation. So while we undergo a comprehensive analysis during the audit process of all our financial statements, we wanted to come before you and provide an update on where we're at as of right now with the fiscal year closing. So again, this report is unaudited, which is the fancy finance term for preliminary. So these actuals are of last week, and we're still working on closing out POs. And of course, the auditors will do some year-end adjusting journal entries as well. So first, this is a summary of all revenues, and it looks scary because all the red, but I promise it's not. This is just because there are some fund balance transfers that were authorized but were not needed or that haven't happened yet. So if we flip to the expenses over revenues, as you can see, most of our funds were good. They were able to bring in enough revenue to cover their operating expenses. So everything is good there. The general fund, which is of course our primary operating fund, which most of our departments are in. This is ending the year in a favorable position. Revenues came in 4% higher than estimated, so that's really good. Our departments were also very good about sticking to their budgets and finding savings where they could. So we're ending the year with a surplus in the general fund. And so that mostly is going to go towards the year-end encumbrances, though, that were presented to you in September of about $817,000. So those are going to go towards those, and we will have to pull down a little bit from the fund balance transfer that was initially authorized as part of the fiscal 24 budget. So that's just kind of a brief. All of our departments did a really good job, and we just had a couple that went over. Obviously, the budget is just a plan, so things come up throughout the year that we have to pay for. But overall, we did really well in the general fund. So for WPC, again, there's a modest revenue surplus. Which is good because revenues came in just a little bit lower than estimated, but it's really excellent that they had a surplus still. So again, found some savings, so we were able to kind of cover some of those unexpected things that came up. So everything's good there. There will continue to be, like I said, adjustments when the auditors do the things, especially with the accounting that this sort of fund requires. So parks, okay, so revenues came in largely as estimated with parks. We will need that fund balance transfer of $245,000, which was anticipated to help the whole project. Parks is also going to be receiving a grant from Johnson County Board of Services in this upcoming fiscal year 25, and so that will kind of offset some of the costs that we've had with the parking lot upgrades. So that's going to go with that. So here is kind of the deficit in parks that I was kind of mentioning. So we're going to need the
fund balance transfer for that, but again, anticipated because of that indoor pool project. And so this is different from what was in your packet, because there was an encumbrance from fiscal year 23 that had previously not been included, in the number overall. So that is in there now, so everything will be good with parks, once that transfer is made. And then this is the CIP funds. I just kind of want to briefly note with these that we received the reimbursement from the TDD for the Cooper Boulevard project, so that's all complete. We had some savings there, kind of the way that it was budgeted was over 2 years, but that project's done. We got that reimbursement, so everything's good with that. And then for the debt service, I just wanted to bring this up too, because the debt service transfers are done at the end of the year as we kind of close things out. But everything's going to come in probably right around budget with that. And so everything will be good. Everything else, there was really nothing of note or concern. Everything looked pretty good after we make any of those necessary transfers that I mentioned. Once the audit is complete, they'll provide all their official numbers and their official opinion that everything was presented correctly. And so for that, I'll stand with any questions.
Thank you for this report.
It's very easy to read. I appreciate that.
Yes. Very much so.
Thanks, Jessica. Any comments, questions for Jessica? Or no?
Do we need to, we don't have to do anything with it, do we?
No.
Just an update.
I just have to get back to the top.
Oh,
I don't know if you know, we have 293 pages in our files tonight for this meeting, and I'm trying to
did
get.
you want, did you? would you
Sure,
like to
let's
read
do
this
that.
here?
Yes, let's do that.
You'll have to flip over.
Okay.
Yeah. we go right ahead.
We're at the highlight of the meeting, the appointments tonight. So thank you for your patience and more importantly, thank you for wanting to be appointed to the different boards, commissions we have here in Warrensburg. Mayoral appointments. A, appoint Elizabeth Anderson as a non-voting member for Diversity and Inclusion Commission as the Warrensburg High School representative for a 3-year term through December 2027. Would you stand up so we can see who you are? Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Yeah, great to have you.
Appoint Elijah Simmons as a member for Diversity and Inclusion Commission to fill unexpired term through October 2025.
Hi, Elijah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you doing this. Appoint Kamal Ghazi as a member of the Diversity and Inclusion Commission to fill in an unexpired term through March 2026. And this will be your third time, right? Thank you so much for doing it in the past and coming back.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
it. Thank
Dr.
you so
Guzzi.
much.
Appreciate it so much.
Appoint Shaquan Clark as a non-voting member for Diversity and Inclusion Commission as the Whiteman Air Force Base representative to fill an unexpired term through October 25.
We could not make it this evening.
Okay,
Thank you.
again, pass on our thanks for doing this. We appreciate the involvement in local community. And appoint Tyler Parsons, Tyler, as a member of Tax Increment Financing Commission to fill an unexpired term through October 2026. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. If you need to leave, we understand, but anyway, that's been a long meeting here with this. Next.
We'll need a
Motion to approve appointments as presented.
Thank you.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Bueller.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's official. Thanks.
We'll teach you the secret handshake.
Still scroll up there.
You're
Yeah.
fine. You're fine.
Okay,
Jim's checking.
yep, good. No, okay. This is 11 appearances to the council not listed on the agenda. We don't have any tonight.
Okay.
Miscellaneous matters from the mayor and or city council.
Just want to say thanks to all city staff who helped make Dickens Christmas fantastic, including, as always, our public safety folks who keep an eye out. Although I did miss the old dressed up as an English cop thing that I think has been done a couple times. So just putting that out there. But thank you so much, all of you, for that work, and Warrensburg Main Street and other partners who made a really fun couple of days really with the lighted parade and with Dickens Christmas. It was a couple of great events for the community. Really appreciate your work.
Thank you to Park and Rec for the Lions Lake lighting,
Yes.
and that was very nice. It was cold.
Do something about
Yeah.
the weather next time.
Yeah, do something about the weather. But that was very nice, and it looks really nice. Did the tree blow over or was it helped?
Say that again?
The tree,
Did
because
blow
it
over?
was blown over. Was it blown over or did it get help?
I'll need to check that out.
Okay.
Oh, that's-
Okay, yeah. Well, let's back up. Oh, okay. Looks very nice. And I also wanted to thank the staff on the solid waste proposals and documents and reams of paper that you've gone through. We really appreciate it. A lot of work went into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, big project.
2.5 year project,
Yeah.
and it's not over yet. So.
Plus,
Yeah. The fun part is just around the corner.
City staff updates, Community Development Department, monthly activity report.
No, that information is in your packet. I was gonna do a little update on the solid waste, but I think we covered the hiring and the marketing, so I think we're good.
Yep, thank you. City staff updates, Fire Department.
Evening again. A few things for you this evening. Start off with our station alerting system. So included in the capital improvement budget this year was some funding allocated to upgrade our station alerting systems and be compatible with the new dispatch system when it comes online in March. Also address some of the firefighter health and safety with the ramped up audio and lighting for the waking hours. So that process, we got underway on it. We started by evaluating some providers that were out there to see what was available, started kind of looking at what the systems would look like, all very similar. But we kind of landed on one. We, about halfway through the process, identified that our partners at the ambulance district also have that need. So we communicated with them and started kind of looking at that together with the goal of hopefully finding something between both agencies that we both liked, so that we had kind of a uniformity across the board. So after evaluating those providers and kind of narrowing down our search, we selected US Digital Designs. We were able to secure that equipment through a purchasing already established cooperative purchase agreement. So that kind of sped that process up so that we could get moving on it. They also offered an opportunity to train us how to install it and maintain it. So they'll teach some of our folks how to install, and we'll be able to handle that and greatly reduce the overall cost of that project. So in our financial policy, it falls into the threshold to come back and get an ordinance, but it does ask that I present that expense, the $95,610.07 that we're moving forward with on that project. So that's the update on that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on it. The budget was for $113,700. We will still have some expense for some wiring and odds and ends to get it installed. But it's looking like we'll come in a little under on that.
That's great.
That system will then, if we're able to get that grant, tie into that product.
Yeah, right.
Also, in July, we received notification I've told you about before, the Missouri ARPA capital improvement equipment interoperability grant. It's a long one, CIIEG. So when we received that, the length of time from where we applied for when it was awarded before action was taken, one of the 4 requests that we had made was for some portable radios. Again, due to the length of time, we found another way to secure some of those as this new radio system's coming online. So we didn't have the need for the original amount of portable radios that we requested. So we substitute some of the portables to get some additional mobile radios for future fleet expansion. Excuse me. In doing so, we had to submit more paperwork. And so that was submitted on September 16th. I received notification today that subaward adjustment was granted. So we'll be moving forward with that. That resolution 2270, when it was originally approved, authorized spending out of the general fund to cover those expenses. It's a reimbursement grant. So once we get those coming, we'll pay for them, submit the paperwork, and the state will reimburse us for that. So just a little update on that. Also, in the capital improvement budget this year was some money to repair the motor on our 2017 fire engine. That problem progressed a little bit quicker than anticipated and turned to emergency repair. It headed up to the city today, this morning, to get an in-frame rebuild on. They anticipate it being down about a week. We hope to see it back next week. And that they don't find more problems when we get into it.
Yeah.
That is that for that. The activity report for members in the packet. Everything's holding pretty consistent, about up 13% still on our call volume. I looked at it today. We're over 1,700. So we'll finish out the year quite a bit higher than last year. But everything else is kind of par for course. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
City staff updates, Police Department, Chief Munsterman.
Mayor, Council, appreciate you letting me speak tonight. I have in your packet is the handout that I have in front of me. First, I want to thank everyone that attended Saturday night. Sorry for the short notice for people that weren't able to attend. But the support really showed well through the officers. So in your packet, it shows we attended the FBI LEDA Agency Trilogy Award. And that just shows through the
Whoa.
that just shows the commitment to building leaders from ground up all the way through the department. It's not only me going to them, but sergeants, corporals, and everything. Trying to build a department to take over for the future. So somebody, I'm gonna have to be replaced one day, and other supervisors will as well. So some of the end of the year stuff, Kushner was at a event one time when we were running surveillance. We'd been running surveillance on Warrensburg cycle. And I was pretty mad that morning because we got in a pursuit with them. We lost them. We've been hit by these outside individuals from Kansas into Kansas City probably 6-7 times in the last 5 years. And anyway, we narrowed it down to one night and we had them, but we lost them. However, our road patrol was able to catch them here a couple weeks ago. So that was pretty impressive. About 5 out of 8 individuals. So we promoted 2 corporals, Brian Morris and Clayton Townsend, and Sergeant Jake Prindle. He was promoted from corporal to sergeant this year. School Resource Officer Division, they put on a educational event at schools. I had an idea at one time to do a junior police academy through the schools. Due to our staffing, we're not able to get that up and going, so they're taking and kind of running with how they're teaching some of the kids in the schools with through the SRO program. We've done a lot of stuff in the last year. In the end, there's a couple cases that we put on here, but we also have the stats for the fiscal year. So if you want to look at that, it's in the packet. So if you have any questions in regards to any of this, I stand for questions.
You did a in plain sight?
Yeah.
Was that
hidden
at the,
in plain sight.
yeah, hidden in plain
Yes,
sight?
Corporal Emma Miller put that on.
Well, how was the attendance?
That was at the high school,
I
correct?
think
It
so.
was not very good this year. I was a
Oh.
little disappointed in that. So, and I think they were too. They were just maybe a handful of people, but it started out, so.
Yeah,
And they heard from many individuals that they were gonna attend, and I don't know, something came up and they just didn't want to make it, so.
yeah, I thought that was a good program. And then on the FBI LEDA Triology Leadership Program, do they have to go to Kansas City? Where are they going for this?
For the FBI leader, that training's all over the nation.
Oh, okay.
So I went down past Joplin for one of my classes. I went up by the airport for 2 of my classes, for 2 of the week-long classes. I just drove back and forth to, I spent enough time away from family, so it was only an hour and a half drive morning and night. But anyway, I went down past Joplin for one of them. There's in St. Louis,
Okay.
out of state, so, but we try to get them as local as possible.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not a question, but a comment. I really want to applaud the good work of your officers. At the banquet, we heard a lot about and the public doesn't know about some of the great things that they've done. So I applaud them.
I appreciate that, Eddie. And, you know, I don't try to broadcast everything I do. I try to keep you informed of some things, but, some of that stuff's pretty private, you know. Just talking to you earlier about, maybe even putting on a video of it. If you listen to some of that stuff, that's pretty private, so I don't know, even talking about that for the possible tax initiative later. I could put something together, but I wouldn't want to go into the graphic details that we did.
Understood.
I like the public and like the family atmosphere of knowing what they're doing, and, you know, they go through a lot.
Yes, they did.
But anyway.
Yeah, I'll
thank you.
concur with Eddie. I think just to recognize your officers for all the activities and what they had to deal with this past year, it's really great.
You don't realize how busy they are.
Right.
You know, it was funny at the start of it, last year, you know, we recognized 25 years of it as our first one. Well, then this was the second year and they're like, oh yeah, it won't be quite so much. And then they're putting it together. And I'm like 8 pages of reading, my goodness, I was trying to stay on track, and, I'm like, it was just as busy as what last year was, you know.
Yeah, it
So
was.
I did tell them, I said, next time when we put this together, let's go break it down. Each event's 1 page. That way I can flip the page and not be going back to locating where I was at. So,
Andy,
yeah.
maybe some bigger font.
Bigger glasses. I already said double space. So,
More pages, but larger font.
that's right. All right, any other questions?
Yes, is there mental health services available to your officers?
So we
when
started,
necessary?
so the state of Missouri actually requires you to go through mental health checkup basically every 3 years. It just went in statute this year, I believe. I'm requiring them to do it every year. We're gonna pay for it. We have 2 options, and it's just a good checkup for them. So, and then we also have EAP through the city. And we remind them of the EAP on any events. Hey, we have this act.
What's an EAP?
Employee assistance
Well,
program.
Thank you. Oh, okay, thank
You
you.
put me on the spot there.
Sorry.
They have that assistance too, and it's posted on our bulletin board, and anytime we have any event, I always make sure the supervisors talk to them about that, so. Other questions?
Hmm.
But besides the AAP, we're requiring it once a year.
Okay,
Check out. Just
thank you.
the way law enforcement gives them, our employees that we just want to keep them all in good mental health check.
I do have one more question. Are you fully staffed now?
Yeah.
No?
Not that that's funny, but we've been fully staffed twice since 2015, and we're still down 6, so
Because of money or because of, you just can't find the people?
it's hard to find good people, and we're not lowering our standards.
And we wouldn't want you to.
We're not lowering our standards, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay,
Thanks,
We're
Chief.
competing with a lot of other agencies surrounding, so.
right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City staff updates, Public Works Department, Phil?
Evening, Mayor, Council. So in the packet, I provided you some stuff that the Public Works is working on. I'm not gonna hit all of them. 3 major projects that we've got going on. Our alley vacates, we get hit with those type of things all the time. Street crew that did the Christmas tree lighting and did well there. I realized I didn't finish a sentence. They were doing a routine task of clearing out branches and trees so the big trucks don't hit those over the roads. The plants, they did get the grit washers that you all allowed us to get. They got those installed. They're up and running, doing great, doing their job. I did hear that our jet truck might be in sooner than we think, hopefully January. So thank you for allowing us to get that. The old one is
Old.
problems. I mean, they're complaining about it was only going 15 miles up the hill the other day, or 15 miles per hour up the hill the other day, so we'll be happy when that one gets in. Besides that, the collection crews got a new portable generator out of Enterprise, since we have to keep that pump station moving and performing for a couple more years. We did get some needed equipment to make sure that it was going to maintain for a couple more years. So. Any questions?
So you're ready for snow and the brine truck and all this?
They are figuring out the brine equipment. We've got another tank. And then we've got one brand new one, the retrofit one didn't get done yet. But we did get another tank put in the truck, so we would do some miles with just brine. We did get another tank to put calcium chloride in and mix, so that if it's colder, we can make the brine work at a colder temperature. So we're ready to go, but it's not for snow.
I think I saw, there
It
were,
did snow the other day. They did get out for 3 hours, so.
well, a week or so ago, was everybody out practicing in the vehicles?
Yeah, it was during the workday and there was no snow. We were doing our training every year.
I think I saw you in the big truck with the big blade on the front. I think you went over the curb.
I probably did, because it's a big
Yeah,
truck.
yeah.
And that blade does cover a lot of area, especially when vehicles are coming. I don't want to hit the vehicle, so.
yeah, you're coming off of Grover onto McGuire.
That
Yeah.
probably was me.
Yep.
So, I don't drive them all the time. So we did do this training, and I will be out in the snow also.
More training?
But I don't want the snow, so I don't want any training.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Parks and Rec or Visitor Center, any? Nope. Okay.
I want to commend Park and Rec on some of the programs that they've programming that they've had. This year they did the Haunted Trail at Cave Hollow and a hayride, which was new and had 250 people participate. This is the first time out of the gate that they did that and had a large, I can't imagine what they're going to have next year. 500. You're going to have to do it more than one day. But what I'm seeing when I attend the meetings and I'm around them, that they are really working very much as a team. It's a team effort, and staff have an idea, they throw that idea out and it's like, well, let's try it. And so I think there's a lot of exciting things going on at Park and Rec, and I just wanted to commend what's going on. Thank you.
Glad that you're the liaison, and thank you for saying those kind words.
You're welcome.
And we'd like to congratulate the UCM Mules football team for winning the 2024 Heritage Bowl. And I know, Chris, you've got several of your workers out there, part-time workers are mules.
Yes.
And I think Gabe Clark actually has a good chance to be playing in the NFL next year.
You've had conversation.
Yes, he has.
Wow.
So we congratulate them on a great season. And so, anything else?
I want to chime in with Susie about the weekend festivities. I was able to attend several of them. The parade was very good. It was cool. And like usual, at the end, Marcy was trying to turn mayhem into organization, and it went very well. Everybody put together a great show. Public Works, Fire Department, Police Department. Everything went well. It's a great community, and the turnout it seems like it gets bigger every year.
Yes.
The turnout. I had friends of mine that came down from Lee Summit to go to Dickens yesterday.
Great.
Or Saturday, so it was a wonderful event.
Well,
Good.
make one more comment. Adam, is this your first official meeting with us, or?
Yeah, you can expect to see me moving forward.
Okay, so our new city attorney,
Happy to be here.
Adam Summer.
Welcome.
And maybe even sing and play guitar some night
Yeah,
for us
usually
too.
just a
You're-
visiting artist.
Yeah.
In residence.
All right, well, welcome. Thank you. All right, anything else? Good. All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.